We are underway in Oxford, Mississippi. Grandy is brought down at about the 16-yard line. Let's go downstairs to Quinn Kessenich. Quinn?
Guys, they've been playing football at Ole Miss since 1893, and for the first time ever, they're wearing gray jerseys. Here's how it shook down. They warmed up in their red. They went inside, and the players had a gray jersey. Coach, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, Quint, the bottom line, they need a win. They got to snap out of that two-game losing streak. First down and 10 for Ole Miss. Asoli, with nowhere to go, wisely throws it away out of bounds. Good pressure up front by who else but Nick Fairley. Jeremiah Masoli, the starting quarterback, a 5'11", 220-pound grad student. Comes in completing 57% of his passes with 10 touchdown tosses on the season versus 6 interceptions. Had a big week last week, albeit in that loss against Arkansas. Threw for over 325 yards. Second and 10. Hand off to Melvin Harris, who has a seam. Melvin Harris, ready to scoop. And Scott, Jeff Scott, touchdown. Scott takes it the distance, 83 yards.
Do you think they like those gray jerseys in Oxford, Mississippi?
Longest rush of the season so far, Bob, against Auburn defensively. And unlike last week, when Ole Miss got off to a slow start and fell behind, they're out of the gate quickly here.
Well, Jeff Scott is just a freshman, but he can fly. He's the home run guy. He's going to get an excellent block from Brandon Bolden, number 34, and H.R. Greer, the fullback. And just enjoy this right here. That's 5'8", 170 pounds from Miami, Florida. From Miami, Florida. The gray jerseys and this Ole Miss offense off to a Halloween kind of start, right?
Sure was. A 10-3 100-meter sprinter back in high school in Miami. Jeff Scott unleashes the turbo on the Tigers. And now it's going to be up to Cam Newton to see how he can counter for Auburn, but you couldn't have scripted a better start for Ole Miss, who comes in 3-4 overall, trying to get back to 500. A career-long run for Scott.
What this does, these Ole Miss fans have been sitting out in that grove, which incidentally is about the nicest tailgating scene I've ever seen. They may have been unsure out there all afternoon, but they just found out early on they've got a reason for some confidence now.
Inside his 10, and he's got 6 on his mind. Blew a tire at the 28-yard line, but he had a lot of room ahead of him. Well, we get a look now at the front runner for the Heisman Trophy, Cam Newton, the starting quarterback for Auburn. Comes in with some really mind-boggling numbers on the season. The only player in the nation with 5 170-yard rushing games this season. Is maybe the main reason why Auburn sits at 8-0 overall and number 1 in the BCS. Completes his first pass. It's Zachary. And Zachary gets a few. Let's take a look at our impact players, brought to you by Liberty Mutual.
Well, for Auburn, it looks like Cam Newton does a lot on his own, but if you study it, Auburn's offensive line controls the game. That left side, Lee Semba, 46 starts, Mike Berry, 39 starts. Jarrell Poe, 320 pounds, defensive tackle. He has to be disruptive, Mark, inside.
Newton eluding harm and fires a dart. That's going to be caught at the 39-yard line. What a grab by Cody Burns. And that's right near the first down marker, a gain of about 6. Good heat up front from Ted Laurent.
Well, I'm sure just about everybody's seen Cam Newton. But there's the first time you see him avoid pressure, roll to his left, and makes an excellent throw.
Newton keeps it himself downfield, wide open at the 45-yard line. That's Emory Blake, and Blake has another Auburn Tiger first down at about the 35-yard line, a 26-yard strike.
That's a 6'6", 250-pound guy that's averaged 28 carries a game and had 602 yards rushing in the last 3 games. Comes out throwing it now.
Mario Fannin coming into the game. Newton hands it off to Michael Dyer, the true freshman, one of the top running backs in the nation last year coming out of high school. Might have lost a yard on the play. He's second down and 11 for Auburn. Three consecutive weeks, the #1 team has been toppled. Second and 11.
Cam Newton feels blitz. Ole Miss showing blitz defensively.
He hands it off. McCaleb, and McCaleb gets to the edge and tiptoes out of bounds at about the 22-yard line. A 14-yard gain. That's going to be enough for another Auburn Tiger first down.
Gets a great block from Mario Fannin. Watch number 27, Fannin, right here. Pins the safety inside. Number 4, Marcus Temple.
And now, Bob, we have Cody Burns out of the Wildcat formation taking the direct snap. Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator, creative. Burns into the end zone. Touchdown, Newton! Is there anything else he can do?
You have to love it. 6'6", 250 pounds. 200 yards a game rushing the last 3 weeks in the SEC. Throws 2 completions early, then all of a sudden he catches a touchdown pass. Does that equal
right.
Heisman Trophy?
That's not right. Cody Burns to Cam Newton. And we're tied at 7. An incredible beginning.
Do you remember when you were a little kid and you were the biggest, strongest, fastest kid on the playground and they just found a way to get you the ball? That's what Gus Malzahn's doing, taking advantage of it. Feel good for him. He's an unselfish guy.
First touchdown pass this year for Burns, the 11th of his career. Randy watches it bounce at the 4. Turns it back out near the 15-yard line. One more look at the touchdown, Bob. What's the key and what happens?
Well, most of the time when you put your quarterback out at wide receiver in this Wildcat stuff, he's a decoy. You want to take your worst defensive coverage guy and put him on the quarterback because he's a decoy. They're not going to throw him the ball. His mom says, you know what? If you don't double cover my son at wide receiver, we're going to wear you apart in that aspect of the game too. I mean, you talk about matchup problems, right?
Incredible, yeah. 6'6", and Bobby had the wherewithal of mind to get his feet in bounds there too.
And give Gus Malzahn credit. He has a lot of weapons, but he takes advantage of those weapons.
Let's see what the Rebels do to counter Masoli with a quick completion. The 13-yard line to Melvin Harris. Let's go back to Wendy Nix in the studio for a Taco Bell update. Mike. Gain of 5 on the play, Wendy. 2nd and 5. Masoli complete again at the 19-yard line. Once again to Harris. And Harris over the 25 to the 26. Let's take a look at our impact players, brought to you by Liberty Mutual.
I think Ole Miss will throw the ball a lot tonight, but tailback Brandon Bolden can still have a big impact. He catches a lot of balls out of the backfield. At 6'7", wide receiver Melvin Harris obviously has the height, but also the speed to win those one-on-one matchups. And this guy right here, Nick Fairley, if he played every down up to his potential, without a doubt, Mark, the best defensive lineman in the country.
So that's some pretty good numbers. And for the 3rd consecutive time, Masoli completes a pass to Melvin Harris. The same pass, same place. 4-yard gain this time. Working against Nico Thorpe on the edge.
Not many guys at 6'7". And here's a quarterback at about 5'7". But not many guys at 6'7", like Melvin Harris, that have that kind of speed.
Masoli keeps it on the run. And Masoli brought down at about the 30-yard line by Josh Bynes, the starting middle linebacker. Well, tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Gus Malzahn's team a year ago was 5-0 and then lost 3 straight games. This year they're 8-0. He says they're better. They've learned how to close things out, and they are a much more confident team and better executing.
And Cam Newton helps a little bit too, right? He's closed out a few games, I think.
He's helped. Flags down on the field. That, of course, was Gene Chizik, the head coach.
False start.
We saw on the field.
74 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Right now it's Masoli with the football. Just under 10 minutes to go in the 1st quarter. And Masoli still with the hot hand, completes the pass to Jesse Grandy for 5 yards. Bob, we got the 2 quarterbacks, great atmosphere. Auburn coming in at number 1. Gene Chizik, we saw him on the sidelines a few moments ago, says, we haven't talked about it all week. How do you handle all that?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I've seen a game. You talk about that prize fight, those 2 guys coming in. I don't know if I've ever seen a football game where it's almost one-on-one. I mean, both of these quarterbacks, because of their ability and because of these schemes, will be a huge, huge percentage of their team's offense. I mean, Masoli had 420 yards offense last week himself against Arkansas.
And Masoli has played in a lot of these big games before as the quarterback of the Oregon Ducks. But when we come back, it'll be Cam Newton, who caught a touchdown catch last time on the field. That, including LSU, huh?
Yeah, I mean, just from the standpoint of nice, that's not a normal tailgate we saw out there in the Grove.
Oh, here's Newton, completes the pass, and it's incomplete now. Emory Blake seemed to have it, but it's ruled incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Let's take one more look at it.
Yeah, clearly did not have possession.
So it's a 2nd down and 10. Michael Dyer in the backfield beside the quarterback Cam Newton. Newton had completed his first 3 passes. Dyer's complete. He's now 4 of 5. This one out to the 32-yard line to Darvin Adams. A completion of 9 yards. Bob, since the South Carolina game, Cam Newton has really taken off in the running game, and he's put up some crazy video game type numbers, but seems to be looking to pass a little bit more here to start this.
Well, you look, I agree, a little bit surprised. You know, he only threw the ball 16 times last week against LSU. Only 14 times the week before against Arkansas. And here you're going to see him in a hurry-up offense.
Under the center, a little toss to the wide side of the field, and a lot of room for McCaleb. This looks frighteningly like LSU. Touchdown.
We've seen that before. McCaleb last week took one over 70 against LSU. And anytime you're a receiver in this offense, you had better be able to block. Watch Darvin Adams out here. Gets the block in the open field on Fawn Ingram, the safety, and that is untouched.
And the extra point good. That's their 20th play this season, over 35 yards. Gene Chizik, the head coach of the #1 team. Oh, he is digging that. He is feeling that. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Jesse Grandy back deep for Ole Miss. He's going to watch this go through the back of the end zone. Jeremiah Masoli will take the reins of the offense at the 20-yard line. Chizik, the head coach in his second season, talked about last year they got to 5-0 and then they faltered, ending up at 8-5. But this year, a much different story at #1 in the BCS. And Houston Nutt, he's hoping that this team, this year for Ole Miss, resembles his first-year team in 2008 that was also at 3-4 and then reeled off a 6-game winning streak to finish the season.
See that clock winding down, the 40-second clock.
Soli barely snaps it and gets it off. Runs out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. Let's check in with Wendy in the studio. All right, Wendy, and back here, 2nd down and 8 for Ole Miss. Masoli keeps himself, great lateral move, and makes it out to about the 28-yard line. 3rd and 2 coming up.
Isn't it ironic? Gus Malzahn was with Houston Nutt for 1 year at Arkansas. Now, Houston Nutt really running Gus Malzahn's offense here at Ole Miss because of Jeremiah Masoli.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. When you get a kid like Jeremiah Masoli, really for 1 season, this kid is so talented. Adapt your offense to him.
He can pass it too for the 1st down that time to Jamez Logan, who picks up 4. So, Bob, it's all about the personnel sometimes that dictates what you use?
No question. I mean, Houston Nutt makes no bones. He loves to line up and run the football. He loves power offense. He loves the quarterback under center. Gus Malzahn, a true spread coach, wasn't the best fit at Arkansas with McFadden and Jones. But Houston Nutt doing what he has to do philosophically to win the game with Masoli at quarterback.
Masoli at quarterback doing a nice job, very efficient out to the 49-yard line. That time it's Markeith Summers picking up 16 out near midfield.
Houston Nutt calls all the offensive plays.
Former head coach at Arkansas. His 3rd year here in Oxford, Mississippi. First and 10. The handoff, nowhere to go, back at the 46-yard line. Jeff Scott, who took it the distance for a touchdown earlier, brought down by Antoine Carter for a loss of 3.
Jeremiah Masoli. Think of the motivation he has. If he's at Oregon, running that #1 offense in the country, right on top of that Heisman list. Then he looks at Cam Newton on the other side. Now he has to look up to Cam Newton.
Right, literally.
But he has to have a chip on his shoulder tonight. It has to provide great motivation.
Throws it downfield and through the hands of his intended receiver at the 35. That was Markeith Summers. What a great story Masoli was at Oregon. Starting quarterback in 08-09 after ascending from 4th on the 2 deep to the starting spot. Had a productive career there and then a litany of transgressions. Enrolled in grad school here at Ole Miss and cleared to play after the NCAA initially said that he wouldn't be able to. His family, his mother, also in on being able to find a place for him to finally play.
Well, his mother's watching in San Francisco. You better block number 90 right here.
Down the middle of the field to Jamez Logan, and a first down for the Rebels. A 24-yard pickup.
What a great throw, because number 90, Nick Fairley, ends up in Jeremiah Masoli's face. But watch him stand in the pocket, deliver that football. This is a courageous player now, Jeremiah Masoli.
Back to pass again, going into the end zone. Touchdown! Wow! Summers!
Is there a little chip on that quarterback's shoulder? Does he have something to prove to Cam Newton? What a throw and what a catch by Markeith Summers.
He has got a lot of gas in the tank today, Jeremiah Masoli, with his 11th touchdown pass of the season. We're tied at 14, the 39th one of his career.
Well, if you look before the play action, he loves being deep. They put him back there at 7 yards deep in the shotgun because he's comfortable that deep. And that probably bought him a little bit of time right there. What a throw and what a catch. Markeith Summers, 3 for 104 last week against Arkansas. Remember, Mark, he's the one that had the jump ball catch against Arkansas.
Fastest player on the team, got downfield and showed some soft hands in making that catch.
What an incredible throw and catch.
8 plays, 80 yards, using up a little under 3 minutes on the clock. Bob, 14-14. Did you expect that it would be this high scoring this early?
I don't think I expected this much explosiveness, but remember yesterday what Houston Nutt told us when we met with him? All he wanted to do was have his team play as good as they could play and see what happens. He said, you know what? If we play the best we can play, we win this game.
Yeah, be solid in the kicking game as well.
Yeah. Some great individual plays in this football game.
It's been a disappointing season so far for Ole Miss, but this one game is a huge shot at atonement. Great shot at redemption. And on the kickoff return, it's Devon Washington. And he slips and falls again, and there's a flag down at the 25-yard line. A 28-yard kickoff return by Washington.
Holding, number 92 of the return team. 10-yard penalty from the swallow foul. First down.
Quentin, what's the vibe like down on the field right now?
Well, prior to that last touchdown drive, I sensed that maybe the air had fallen out of the sails of both the fans and this Ole Miss team. Had so much energy coming out of the locker room in the gray jerseys. That last drive keeps this crowd in the game. Fans saying to themselves, hey, we have a quarterback too. We can score with Cam Newton.
They've shown that they can do that. A couple of touchdowns on the board already. Interestingly enough, look at that. Cam Newton has not rushed the ball at all so far.
And that's 28 carries a game the last 3 weeks.
They come out passing again, complete to Emory Blake. And Blake might have gotten about 2 on the play. Emory Blake, the son of former NFL player Jeff Blake, former quarterback with the Cincinnati Bengals. And a lot more opportunities because of his stellar work on special teams. Cam Newton on the toss. Taylor breaking a couple of tackles, but brought down at about the 15-yard line. Ingram, the first one to get there, he picks up about a yard on the play. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour. Here's what's happening now from Oxford, Mississippi. Auburn, first time as a BCS #1, first time #1 in any poll since 1985. And coming up on Davy Jones' Locker, we'll talk about the purity of this year's Heisman leader and the campaign. And we break down a little bit of quarterback math for you. Newton completes it close to the first down, and it looks like by the spot that they're going to give it to Darvin Adams. He was working against Charles Sawyer. Boy, Newton showing he can throw the ball a little bit, Bob.
These wide receivers have to be excited. I mean, they haven't caught many balls this year. That is a great throw. Kind of bounces off his face mask right there. Keep in mind, #4 in the country pass efficiency. Auburn. Cam Newton's #3 in the country pass efficiency.
Hands it off to McCaleb. McCaleb pushed out of bounds by Matthews. Picks up about 4 on the play.
Talk about Cam Newton, #3 in pass efficiency. #1's Kellen Moore at Boise State. #2, Ricky Stanzi. Triple threat. Run, pass, and now we added that third weapon tonight, Mark, receiving.
Just joining us, he caught a touchdown pass earlier in the first quarter. On the reverse. For Zachary, Terrell Zachary gets his scoot on out to the 41-yard line, picking up another Auburn first down. He gets 14 on the play.
We talk about this offensive line from Auburn. The thing is, they're big and strong, but they're athletic as well. Get a great block out here in the open field on the reverse by Lee Zimba, the offensive tackle.
Newton with plenty of time, and through the hands of his intended receiver, incomplete. That should have been caught by Antonio Goodwin. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Working it with that quick tempo. They want to get 80 snaps a game. That's their goal. And this is his first rush of the game. Cam Newton out to the 47-yard line. Picks up about 6. That's well below his average, Bob, so the defense did a great job on that play.
Exactly, and back to our point, Mark, I don't know if we've ever had a game where 2 quarterbacks are as high percentage of their offense, and we're going to keep track of this all night. Last week, Masoli was 85% of their offense. This year, Cam Newton has been about 65% of Auburn's yardage per game.
Underneath, complete, wide open. He comes right back to Blake. And Blake with a Tiger first down deep into Ole Miss territory at about the 33. And Cam Newton remains with the hot hand. They pick up 20 on that play.
Ole Miss playing man-to-man coverage. Anytime you play man-to-man, you get those crossing routes. That time, 2 Ole Miss defensive players ran into each other.
Caleb, and now on the throwback, little trickery, blows up back at the 45-yard line. Wayne Dorsey read it. And Neil Caudle was looking downfield, but never had a chance. Tyrone Nix, the defensive coordinator. Boy, you talk about looking at a lot of film this week, Bob. This is the defensive coordinator's nightmare this week, right?
I have a lot of respect for this guy. He realizes what a tremendous opportunity this is for his defense. Caleb
again. Down down to the 36-yard line. McGee making the stop on the play. Ontario McCaleb picks up 8. And, you know, he's been inspired of late. We saw that long touchdown run earlier. He had the game winner against LSU. Actually, after the Arkansas game, none other than Bo Jackson visited with McCaleb, spent a little time with him and said, young man, you got to start turning it loose.
Yeah. Well, that would get your attention if the number 34 sat down and had a one-on-one with you.
Third and 14.
You don't get many 3rd and 14s against Auburn. See if Ole Miss's defense can take advantage of it.
Newton wide open down the middle of the field. 1st and goal for the Tigers. Complete to Blake again. He's made several catches on this drive. A 28-yard gain, and it's 1st and goal for the Tigers.
Boy, disappointing for Tyrone Nix and Ole Miss's defense.
It's a defense that surrendered.
They turned Emerly Blake loose against zone coverage right up the seam. That should not happen.
1st and goal. Newton tries to keep it. And that play disassembled by the defense. At the 11-yard line, Joel Knight making the stop, and that's going to be the last play of the first quarter. A loss of 3, and what a memorable first quarter it's been here at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator right there for the Tigers, drawing up some good ones. Trooper Taylor there, the receivers coach, turned Newton into a receiver for a touchdown today. Who would have thought this is what it looked like? A Heisman frontrunner putting a few more notes on his impressive resume, but Masoli says, you know what, I can ball too. Back with the second period after this.
Because they're number 1 on the road tonight.
Newton, bootleg, knocked down and almost picked off at the 7-yard line. Good defense that time by Alan Walker.
You think what's at stake for Auburn? I mean, it's pretty obvious, but Mark, the way the BCS system is, when you can say we control our own future, it's never 100%, but with the SEC having won 4 straight national championships, you'd have to say that if Auburn can win and win out, they're going to be the national champion.
Yeah, it'll be tough for something to go wrong.
Yeah, and that's easy to say. Does that add another element of pressure? Does everything change because you are number 1?
14th play of the drive. Little receiver screen complete. Down to the 6-yard line. That's Terrell Zachary. Picks up 4 on the play. 3rd and goal coming up. Pardon me, this is 4th down coming up.
Yeah, I love the energy in which Ole Miss is playing. Big plays on offense and a lot of guys running around swarming on defense.
It's a defense, Bob, that has been under siege of late. They give up the most points in the conference, 32 a game. A bit of a win here in holding Auburn to an attempted field goal. This one coming from 25 yards on, off the toe of Wes Byram. And he knocks it through. Auburn leading by 3, 17-14. The quarterback's playing a major role in today's game. And speaking of quarterbacks, Bob, a couple of great ones there.
It's a whole different style. It has to be foreign for those 2 guys to watch the spread offense, the Cam Newtons and the Jeremiah Masolis. But one thing isn't foreign, the amount of yards these teams are piling up offensively. I mean, it's crazy tonight, the stats, but it's a little bit different. Both these guys played under center. Both these guys more traditional pro-style offenses.
Kind of underscores how offenses have changed since then.
Well, look at these numbers. That's 228 yards for Auburn already in this football game. Auburn averaging about 11 yards a play. Ole Miss about 12.3 yards per play.
Trooper Taylor, as always excited and animated. Teams receivers coach. 15 plays on that last drive. 80 yards, using up about 6 minutes on the clock. Culminating with that 25-yard field goal by Byron. Auburn has won here 7 of the last 8 times. Grandy's going to take it out. And Jesse Grandy with a nice return out to the 32-yard line. Let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A drive recap. And there have been a bunch of scoring drives already in this game. Jeremiah Masoli leading the way for Ole Miss with his arm and with his legs. Markeith Summers with a key catch or 2 on the drive. This was the great one in the end zone.
Go back to that story. Houston Nutt said what made his decision, what finalized it to take Jeremiah Masoli, what his mother, Jeremiah Masoli's mother, and the way she said it when they visited.
Masoli completes the pass out to the 32-yard line. His mother, Linda, with an impassioned plea to head coach Houston Nutt, saying basically, Coach, we need you to give him a place to play. We've been praying for a place for Jeremiah to play and a coach that will take care of him.
And he's a walk-on. He's a walk-on paying his own way here at Ole Miss.
Pass complete to Jesse Grandy. Yes, his mother Linda pleading to Coach Nutt, let him change his life. And, you know, Coach told us that he's looked at Jeremiah and said, you know, this is a man with no agenda, has been very selfless, and actually got enough votes from the players to be nominated as a captain. 3rd and 1. Out to the 40-yard line. Brandon Bolden got 1. And how close is he to the first down? The spot will show. He's about that much short. Do you go for it here, Bob, or do you punt it? He sends the punt team on.
Hey, I know what you're thinking. Halloween night, we have the #1 team in this stadium, but for Houston Nutt, they've gotten off to a really good start. Last week, they were down 21-0 to Arkansas. They've gotten off to a good start. Let this game play out a little bit more. Don't panic right here.
And Darius Carr back for Auburn at the 19-yard line. A low line drive punt. Goes out of bounds. Right around the 20 or then some. They're going to bring it all the way out to the 26. Hey, it's Halloween here in Oxford. I'll tell you what, I'd love to come dressed as a Heisman winner, but don't have that kind of game. That's an interesting hairstyle. Kesnick down on the sidelines in what has been a very entertaining game so far. Interestingly enough, Cam Newton's yardage coming via the air route as opposed to on the ground attack this week. 1st and 10 from the 26. Newton hands it off to McCaleb. And McCaleb picks up about 5. Ingram making the stop on the play.
Watch my impact guy, Mike Berry, the left guard. Watch the big guy pulling here. They love to pull those guards.
Fumble. Loose. And Ole Miss has it in Tiger territory, recovered by Jason Jones. The first turnover of the ball game.
Boy, how many times we've seen that the last couple nights. Florida State, North Carolina State Thursday night. West Virginia against UConn last night. Just self-inflicted mistakes. Ontario McCaleb never had that football.
From the 18-yard line, Jeremiah Masoli working with a short field. Goes into the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Melvin Harris. He was working against Washington. And it'll be 2nd down and 10. One more look at that fumble a few minutes ago.
Let's take a look at it again. Simple read zone. I mean, Cam Newton really, I think, wanted to pull that ball late. It looked like there was some indecisiveness right there.
Is that
based on how the defensive end played him? He wanted to pull that football late. You could see that look on Cam Newton's face right there. Didn't make a concise decision and go with it.
Slowly going right back to the straight side, and he's picked off at the 3-yard line. Went one too many times to the well in Damon Washington. And the Tiger defense takes it back. His 2nd interception of the season. And the 8th for the Tiger defense.
Well, if you're going to throw that ball, throw it where only your wide receiver can make the catch. Ball completely underthrown right there. Don't question the decision to throw it up, but the execution. He completely underthrew that football, trying to get it to Marquise Summers. Damon Washington coming up with a big turnover right there.
Auburn working from its own 2-yard line. Handed off straight ahead. Down at about 8 to go.
See right there, 2 turnovers. Last 4 plays, 1 for each team.
He's going to throw it. At least had enough room to, and takes it himself. Tucks it under and is brought down at about the 6-yard line.
What you love about Cam Newton, he's the guy that has the ability when the ball's backed up or it's late in the game when you really need it. He just takes it over, and the ball is always in his hands. If you think back to Kentucky, took the ball 96 yards himself.
And late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much margin for error when you just snap at the one guy, and he has the opportunity to make a play.
3rd and 7. With time, and finds his man for the 1st down at the 17-yard line. Cody Burns, who threw that touchdown pass to Newton earlier in the game, a 13-yard gain. Talked about Cody Burns' selflessness a little bit earlier. I'll tell you more later. Michael Dyer in the backfield beside the quarterback Newton. Newton keeps it himself. And they stuff him near the line of scrimmage. Jason Jones making the stop. Mark Jones along with Bob Davie and Quint Kesnick here at Hemingway Stadium. Number 1 Auburn coming into this game undefeated at 8-0. 5-0 in SEC West Conference play. And for 3 consecutive weeks, the number 1 team has been knocked off. Auburn trying to avoid that this week on the road against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, meanwhile, coming in at a game below 500. Newton. Complete. And another 1st down at the 29-yard line. A 12-yard gain. Cam Newton has put up some eye-popping numbers over the last several weeks. And he continues to carry this team. Hands it off to the freshman Dyer. And Dyer close to another 1st down. Hey, Bob, we looked at the stats a few minutes ago. You surprised, or how surprised are you that Cam Newton's using his arm, not his legs?
I think Gus Malzahn went back and watched the 2 years ago tape when Ole Miss beat Florida in Gainesville. And Tyrone Nix played a lot of man-to-man coverage, got up there and tried to outnumber Tim Tebow in Florida. And I think Gus Malzahn said, you know what, we are not going to let them just play straight man-to-man coverage on us and outnumber us. We're going to throw the football. So I think this is a result of 2 years ago what Tyrone Nix did down in Gainesville, Florida.
8.5 to go here in the 1st half. 2nd and 8. Cam Newton, the transfer from Florida, via Blinn Junior College after that. Pass incomplete, in and out of the arms of Darvin Adams. He may be a little bit rusty, Bob. These receivers haven't gotten a lot of work over the past several weeks.
I think you bring up a great point. A great point. I mean, they have been blocking wide receivers really the majority of this season. But you have to be impressed how Cam Newton has checked at the line and also thrown some excellent throws tonight.
We have an official's whistle. And a timeout on the field, 3rd and 8 when we come back on the other side. Third and 8 for Auburn. Plenty of time for Newton. This time Adams squeezes it for the first down at the 43-yard line. His offensive line giving him lots of time to throw and a 13-yard gain. Hey, speaking of offensive line play, Michael Orr, former great here at Ole Miss, now with the Ravens, has a bye week, obviously. The story of The Blind Side. I'm sure you saw the award-winning show by a movie with Sandra Bullock, Tim McGraw. On the reverse, this is Dyer, has some room, and the freshman picks up another Auburn first down at the 28-yard line.
For another example of McCaleb coming across on that speed sweep look, and all of a sudden that ball just creases you north and south. That time with Michael Dyer.
And off this time inside the 25 to Michael Dyer. Again, Bob, in our production meeting, you were giving a lot of love to the offensive linemen this week, especially for Auburn.
And you know what, Mark, even more now. I mean, I knew run blocking wise, outstanding. Pass blocking, pass protection tonight. I mean, they've switched gears a little bit. They've shown they can do both.
12th play of the Auburn Tiger drive. Newton. Touchdown, Auburn. Adams.
This is a run-oriented team. Darvin Adams just ran a great corner route, and this run-oriented quarterback just laid it on the money. Watch this corner route. Little inside move. He beats Jerry McGee, and the throw.
So after a couple of weeks of being almost dormant, the wide receivers getting a good workout this week. The quarterback using his arm more than his legs. And the Tigers, #1 in the nation, leading by 10 in Oxford, Mississippi. More fireworks to come on the other side.
Goes out the window based on what happens on the field, but it does make college football totally relevant. It's amazing how much attention those BCS standings get.
Week to week, every game takes on greater importance. And hey, you had 3 hours to chew on it on the experts this week on ESPNU.
You saw a little bit of it?
Caught you doing your thing.
Yeah, that's a good show. I'll tell you, ESPNU is an up-and-coming giant now.
Under 7 minutes to go. This is Grandy going to take it out. Grandy pushed out of bounds at the 20-yard line. So the question begs, when you're looking at defending Cam Newton and Gus Malzahn's offense, how exactly do you do it? Where do you start?
Let me tell you something. This is an offense that's run the ball 73% of the time this year. They had 440 yards rushing against LSU last week. Now they come out here tonight and they're throwing the football all over the field. I'm amazed how well they can execute. I'm not only amazed at their ability, I'm amazed at the execution level switching gears tonight.
Masoli hands it off on that fly sweep to Jeff Scott, who's brought down. It's going to be ruled down before the fumble at about the 22-yard line. But yeah, back to your point, Bob, Cam Newton, to underscore the passing element this week, he's 13 of 17 passing for 170 yards and a touchdown pass.
And I'm not real strong at math, but 325 yards already in this football game. We start multiplying that times 2 with another half of football. You're talking about staggering numbers.
That's a Heisman-type smile right there. Masoli, his counterpart, completes it at the 28-yard line to Jamez Logan, picks up 5 on the play. You know, Masoli's a pretty good story in his own right, ascending to the top of the depth chart at Oregon. When he was at San Francisco City College before going to the University of Oregon, he actually edited together his own highlight tape and sent it to the coaches, and Oregon was one of the few schools that actually gave him a response. So you think about his journey in college football so far. That's why schools responded to the highlight tape.
And we talked to the strength coach yesterday. Now, the strength coach hasn't had him much because he just got here in August. But he said he'll run a 4.5 40. And you look at his lower body. Very strong, very compact. But I doubt he's over 5'9" and some change.
Okay.
And he's probably, what, 225?
Yes.
I'd just like to see him stand next to Cam Newton and see the difference in height. But I tell you, I love this guy's competitiveness, and he is a really good athlete.
On that fly sweep, Scott. Jeff Scott with a great move and still on the loose. First down to the 32-yard line. Zach Clayton finally making the tackle, but not before Scott picks up 30.
The similarities, huh? It looked like Ontario McCaleb coming across for Auburn. An excellent block right there in the open field by number 10, the wide receiver. Boy, the speed sweep. Such a weapon.
You would think defensively you've seen it a lot on the other side.
Yeah, and these receivers, that time Jesse Grandy, receivers in college football in this spread offense, you better be able to block now.
Timeout on the field. And we'll be back with more in just a minute.
Last night to do a live interview with Gene Chizik. They're leaving here, probably going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Completion on the play, still on his feet. Marquise Summers broke a couple of tackles and got all the way down to the 23-yard line. Picks up 9 on the play. Summers, the 6'3" senior, leads the team in receiving yards coming in and touchdown catches as well. Has 3 today for 53 yards. Brandon Bolden, one of our impact players, gets a touch. Gets down to the 15-yard line, gets 8, a good chunk.
And no doubt that Ole Miss has the skill players to challenge Auburn's defense. You can see the speed with Jeff Scott, Brandon Bolden, and then really some talented wide receivers. Kind of in a pistol two-back look here.
That's a little different. Handed off to the first guy through. That's Brandon Bolden. And no gain on the play. He's the team's leading rusher, averaging almost 6 yards a pop.
And you know, this Ole Miss offense still evolving. They're doing things from a coaching standpoint they had no idea in July that they'd be doing, because it changed so dramatically when this guy came on campus. So it's an evolving week-to-week offense, really executing tonight pretty darn good.
2nd and 10. Masoli keeps it, but nowhere to go. Brought down just shy of the 15-yard line by Michael Goggins. And it'll be 3rd down coming up. Talk about how well this offense is executing in light of the circumstances with Jeremiah Masoli. He was declared ineligible by the NCAA and then finally reinstated just days before their first game against Jacksonville State.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. That's why he's so grateful to be here and have this opportunity.
Got a flag down on the field.
Timeout, Auburn. That is their first timeout of the second half, or first half. There is
So
no
Auburn
flag
has
on the
2
play.
timeouts remaining. Ole Miss with 1. And we'll be back right after this. All right, Wendy Nix, they're playing Thriller here over the public address system, and it certainly has been all of that and then some in the first half. Mississippi with the ball, looking at 3rd and 10. Masoli on the move. Incomplete in the end zone, out of bounds. Intended for Melvin Harris, and it's 4th down coming up.
Well, the first thing you see, they move that pocket away from Nick Fairley. Excellent throw by Masoli in the corner of the end zone. Feet out of bounds, Melvin Harris.
Well, they were close. He was out of bounds, though. And now in comes Bison Rose. This one coming from about 32 yards out. 8 of 10 on the season. And he brings the Rebels a little bit closer. Narrowing that Auburn lead to just 7 points. On Halloween weekend, lots of trick-or-treats to come. See what they get done on this kickoff. Washington. And you alluded to it. They've had trouble, and they got trouble in Washington. Touchdown, Auburn. "95 yards.
Wow. That has plagued them all season. Ole Miss.
After the field goal by the Rebels, the subsequent touchdown on the kickoff return taking the wind out of Ole Miss's collective sails.
And I'm not sure what number 2 for Ole Miss. I think it was Rodney Scott, the running back. But I want you to watch you on this kickoff coverage. Stop it right there. Right here, watch number 2. I think has an opportunity to go blow the returner up. He runs to the blocker. And then all of a sudden, Damon Washington breaks a tackle off to the races. But I believe that was Rodney Scott, the 3rd running back. But Mark, he had an open shot.
Yeah. It's almost like he went right by him.
He went to the blocker instead of going to the ball carrier. He was unblocked. Again, you put a running back on special teams. Right here, stop it. He has a shot right now. He has a clear shot, but he goes to the blocker. And now you have to give Washington credit. He breaks a tackle and takes it to the house.
Bob, you alluded to it seconds before the kickoff that Ole Miss has had issues in being able to cover kickoffs successfully this year, and here's another example of it.
Yeah, that's frustrating. And what did Houston Nutt tell us yesterday? All I want to do is play as good as we can play. And he talked specifically about the kicking game, just to prove to ourselves we'll have a chance if we can play as good as we can play. That hurt.
Jesse Grandy back deep now, standing on his own 5-yard line for the Rebels. 31-17, a 2-touchdown lead for number 1 Auburn. Grandy from the goal line. Breaks a couple tackles before being brought down to the 32-yard line. And now for our playing favorites, brought to you by Pizza Hut. And a lethal combination so far tonight has been Newton to Adams. Newton's Law in full effect. Ball going up and coming down in the arms of the receiver in the end zone.
Did you ever see Tim Tebow, who we love, be able to take over a game throwing the football like Cam Newton has thrown it tonight?
Not quite like this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this kid is something.
Masoli, nice run out near the 38-yard line. Jeremiah Masoli now trying to rally his team. Cam Newton, remember, transferred from Florida, spent a year at Blinn Junior College, won a national junior college championship there, and then Auburn edging out Mississippi State and a couple of other schools for his services. And this offense for the Tigers looks pretty good with Cam Newton at the helm.
And this Ole Miss offense looks good with Masoli. It's just he hasn't had the supporting cast. I mean, he can't cover kicks.
And speaking of supporting cast, not much support on that drop pass by Jesse Grandy. Stops the clock with 1:38 to go in the first half. Brings up a 3rd and 3.
Let's take a look again. Not to beat Rodney Scott up. I mean, that is a running back that's out there trying to tackle and cover kicks, but that was poor instincts right there.
It was a nice hit, but it didn't have any impact on the play.
Yeah, too bad that guy didn't have the ball, huh?
Little pistol formation here. Masoli under heat. Great improvising skills by Jeremiah Masoli. Brought down at the 41-yard line by Chris Davis. Picked up 2 on the play.
Well, he's had to use his athletic ability just to catch some snaps tonight. He one-handed that one. You know, A.J. Hawkins back at center. Played guard last week. Talk about concentration. Watch his eyes. That's what you call looking that ball in.
Wow.
Great camera shot right there.
And we have Auburn using one of its timeouts. Jeremiah Masoli has played in a lot of big games like this before.
And this is 4th down. Decision time.
What are you thinking right now if you're Auburn? I mean, you looking at maybe getting some more points here with.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, as of right now, we have not slowed down Auburn. Auburn's going to score a lot of points. I need a lot of points. I go for it right here.
Okay. Houston Nutt has been able to upset some top-ranked teams at least in the top 10 over the years, going back to his time at Arkansas. Think about that win a couple of years ago here at Mississippi against Florida.
I'll tell you what he better be thinking about right now. This guy, Nick Fairley, we haven't called his name tonight, but when he turns it on, he's as good as there is. He's as disruptive as there is. It's time for Fairley right here.
4th and short, they're going for it. Masoli keeps it. Not sure that he got enough. Looks like they're giving him that right foot spot.
Boy.
And it is going to be incredibly close. Josh Bynes.
Josh Bynes. Like a coach on the field. Watch this up. You read those lips. Come on, watch Josh Bynes, 17. Is that good stuff?
Good vertical leap.
Great stuff right there.
That is a monument to effort and anticipation by Josh Bynes out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Runs the operation there at linebacker, and here's the measurement. Auburn going to have the football in Mississippi territory. Josh Bynes made that play happen. .117 to go in the half, and the Tigers with a chance to put some points on the board here.
Let's take a look. You can see Masoli. He's going to try to pick and choose where to go. Little surprised at the sneak, just because Auburn's so young at center and the 2 guards.
Had a lot of changes on that offensive line, too.
They really have. I mean, they have, what, 7 different combinations of offensive linemen. Going to challenge this call. Good challenge.
Yeah.
Great challenge. Look at Josh Bynes. Look at those eyes.
6'2".
Look at that. Let's take a look. You see the yellow line. Make the call for yourself. I tell you, is he ever down? But did he ever extend the ball? I never saw the ball extend. Nothing to overturn that call right there. Do you agree?
That looks very inconclusive, and you must have indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field. But look at the airborne Josh Bynes. Can't say enough about the effort by Auburn.
Can't see it.
tell you, a big difference in the morale of this Auburn team going back a couple of years ago. And Gene Chizik, boy, you can't say enough about the coaching job that he's been able to do, getting everybody to buy in to being a quote-unquote Auburn man.
And yeah, I think that's a great
After
point.
review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Auburn. Timeout, Ole Miss.
And what you really have to be impressed with, let's think about Auburn. 2 big home games, Arkansas, LSU, back-to-back at home. This week you become officially the #1 team in the country. They have played with tremendous focus and energy in this football game. But don't forget, that scene I don't think anybody will forget at the Auburn airport when Jay Jacobs come back after hiring and it was announced that Gene Chizik was going to be the head coach.
It wasn't very warm and fuzzy.
And that guy was heckling him.
Here it is. Meanwhile, back in the field, Ontario McCaleb going to be brought down for about a loss of 2 or 3 on the play. That was booing. He's cheering in row 10 right now. 2nd and 12. Fires a dart complete. And he had some extra heat on that one, down to the 33-yard line. Adams with another reception. He picks up 10. 39 seconds to go.
A lot of second chances in this game, right? Gene Chizik, what was he, 5 and 19 at Iowa State? He gets a second chance, in other words, at Auburn. Cam Newton, he's at Blinn Junior College. Jeremiah Masoli, he's out of Oregon. A lot of guys with second chances. And Nick Fairley, the defensive lineman's a junior college guy.
3rd and 2, the pass complete to the edge. That's Blake. Henry Blake gets down to about the 26-yard line. Nice pickup again by the Tigers. 32 seconds to go, a gain of 7. It's an offense that doesn't need much time to get into the end zone. First and 10 from the 26. Overshot his intended receiver, Blake. That would have been a touchdown.
Yeah, that's one time. You mentioned he threw the last one with a lot of velocity on that out route. Probably should have put a little more air under that. Again, no answer so far for Emory Blake going right up that seam in a trip set against this Ole Miss zone coverage.
Hey, buddy.
Second and 10. Caleb in motion. Newton hands it off to Dyer. And Dyer brought down inside the 20 at about the 18-yard line by Johnny Brown. 16 seconds to go. Time management the issue. And Auburn and Gene Chizik use their final timeout. Well, we talked about Gene Chizik and his controversial hiring at the time. Here's what they had to say about it at the time. Just a sampling of some of the quotes. The hiring of Gene Chizik, that bottom one says, "We've become Alabama's little sister." Wrong place, wrong time for Chizik. Bob, if you put your finger on it, how did he turn this thing around?
Well, first of all, he went and hired Gus Malzahn. Let's be honest, that was a tremendous hire, hiring Gus Malzahn from Tulsa. Second thing, they made strides last year. They won a bowl game. But the biggest thing, I mean, let's be honest, Cam Newton coming into this program. And it's ironic that Cam Newton obviously left Florida under some different situations. Very obligated to Auburn. Gene Chizik has to be obligated to Auburn. Auburn's a great job, honestly. And then Nick Fairley, coming from junior college, who didn't qualify at Auburn out of high school. You have 3 guys, really you can say second chances, but tremendously obligated to Auburn for having this opportunity. I mean, you're 5 and 19 at Iowa State. You have to be obligated to Jay Jacobs and Auburn that they gave you this job. But this guy's here. He's done an unbelievable job.
Saying who would bet against him now? He's turned it a beat. 3rd and 3. incomplete in the end zone. Intended for Blake for a consecutive attempt.
Well, Johnny Brown, number 20, said, listen, you have gone up the seam to Emory Blake too many times. I mean, no question that's where Cam Newton's going.
And in comes Wes Byram to attempt a field goal now from 35 yards away. Byram, 12 of 16 on the season coming into this game. Knocks this one right down Main Street. 6 seconds to go in the first half, and Auburn leads by 17. A couple of near misses, and I guess if you're Ole Miss, you're thinking that's a little bit of a win defensively, keeping them out of the end zone. Although that's a pretty good spin.
Well, they went for it on 4th and 1. I thought it was the right call. They didn't make it. Their defense hung in there. The problem is that scoreboard just keeps clicking. Auburn with 34 points in the first half. Jeremiah Masoli's good. Ole Miss has some weapons, but how do you slow Auburn down and get enough opportunities?
Mississippi scoring on 6 of its 7 possessions tonight. Pardon me, Auburn has scored on 6 of its 7 possessions tonight.
And the kickoff return is the dagger now. You cannot just give them one in special teams.
Incredible atmosphere here at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. A sellout crowd. New jerseys, gray jerseys by Ole Miss. They came out in the red.
Can I cover for you?
Go ahead.
I've been with you a lot of years. I know, or allegedly, you're colorblind. Now, you've told me that 100 times since I've been doing games. Tonight might confirm it when you said green for Auburn. And I know green.
I'm out there.
For various reasons is your favorite color.
I understand that shade of green. 6 seconds to go in the half. Well, that Auburn team wearing the right color tonight so far. Up 34-17. Talked about this being a heavyweight battle between a couple of heavyweight quarterbacks, and there's the respective numbers. Newton 15 of 21, and Jeremiah Masoli 12 of 18. Both putting up some pretty good stats here in the first half.
Really pretty even. Ontario McCaleb with a big, close to 70-yard run. Washington the kickoff return for Auburn.
3 consecutive weeks. Number 1 has been knocked off its lofty perch, but Auburn trying to avoid that destination this week. Scott gets about 5. The first 30 minutes in the books, and Cam Newton looking every bit much like the Heisman Trophy leading candidate.
Refreshing.
And he continues to be on a roll. Second half underway. Tigers will get the ball. Damon Washington on the kickoff return. Mississippi has had issues covering kicks and almost gave one up there. Washington a little shaken up after that tackle. Brought down at the 28-yard line and shaken up after the 26-yard return. Everybody aware of the potential Heisman campaign, so much so that even Ole Miss fans are striking a pose.
And how about Mark Ingram, last year's Heisman winner, coming out this week and say, this guy right here has my vote for the Heisman. That shows you the respect. And you're talking about Alabama Auburn now.
That takes a lot, right?
It's pretty hard to step up and make that vote when you're the rival of that team. Not only it's your Heisman.
Bo Jackson said the same thing, endorsing Cam Newton. The second half underway. Newton on the loose, doing his thing. And Cam Newton runs out of bounds at the 45-yard line, picks up a first down, and a good block by Lee Simba. Final 17.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have to change his name to get in that Heisman race, do you? But, you know, he only had 5 carries in the first half for 4 yards.
Well, he broke Johnny Brown's ankles.
Pretty, isn't he?
Long, loping, lanky stride.
And now they come with a sweep off of that play.
This is McCaleb, the one that went for a 68-yard touchdown in the first half, down to Quinn for more.
I spoke to Gene Chizik. I asked him what his biggest concern for the second half was. He said two things: Ole Miss big plays and turnovers. He said, we haven't punted the ball. We've scored on 6 of 7 possessions. I asked him about the throwing game. Cam Newton, the success through the air. He says he's been extremely accurate given the fact that Auburn has dropped some passes. He says, though, we'll go to a little more ground game. Expect Cam to carry the ball more in the second half.
Quinn, we've seen evidence of that already. Handed off to Dwyer. Dyer bounces off a potential tackler and goes down to the 30-yard line, actually inside the 30 at the 29. Michael Dyer, one of the top running backs coming out of high school last year, picks up 22 yards. The native of Little Rock, Arkansas.
Auburn up there ready to go again in this hurried up tempo.
Handed off again to Newton, to Dyer. Brought down by Armour. Freshman running again, picking up a couple. Actually, maybe a yard on the play. From the 29.
That's a lot of orchestration going on right there, isn't it? Just to get the right play.
See what materializes here. In space, Michael Dyer brought down after a gain of about 4 yards.
It's interesting, Michael Dyer out of Little Rock, Arkansas, being a running back at South Carolina, 1-2 recruits in the country last year. Gus Malzahn had been recruiting him since the 9th grade. He was in Arkansas summer football camp when Gus Malzahn was at Arkansas.
On 3rd and 6. They come with a little bit of heat on Newton. And he's sacked back at the 32-yard line. Alan Walker making the play. And it's 4th down.
Did you see Newton jump up off the ground, though? That's one of the best shots Cam Newton has taken all year. Watch Walker gets him. A little bit of a face match. But Cam Newton jumps up and said, you know what? You didn't hurt me now.
A little bravado. A 48-yard field goal attempt from Wes Byram. And he knocks it through. Byron increases the Tigers' lead to 20 points. Just underway here in the 3rd period of play.
Well, actually, the rest of us went out to Pete Boone, the athletic director's house. And I'm sure Kim Belton, our director, would agree, one of the nicest houses I have ever seen. And the hospitality here at Ole Miss has been unbelievable. They've been a little too hospitable to Auburn, particularly Auburn's offense so far.
Let's see what they can do here. This is Grandy, and Grandy brought down at about the 22-yard line. Well, tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN, the chase for the NASCAR. Masoli, the quarterback for Ole Miss, going to get his first chance here in the second half. But a pretty good first half statistically, aside from that one interception that he threw in the red zone. This is a team right now trying to snap a 2-game losing streak, and they need this win to start to think about becoming bowl eligible. Masoli keeps it himself on a predetermined run. And has nowhere to go, brought down by Damon Washington. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
This Auburn defense doesn't get much attention. A lot of people not sure if this defense is really worthy of the #1 ranking in the country. But I'll say this, they are playing better. They have played better than they played last year. This guy helps them a lot now. Cam Newton, obviously, because they get ahead in games. But I've been impressed just with how much they've improved over the course of last year.
Improved to the point where they bring down Masoli after a gain of about 1. That was Zach Clayton, whose career was stymied for about 3 years because of various injuries, but making a nice play there. 3rd and long coming up for Ole Miss.
A little conservative early right here for Ole Miss. Your best chance is to let Masoli room around in that pocket and throw the football.
Masoli under some heat. Into coverage and incomplete. And it's 3 and out on their first possession of the 3rd quarter. Good pressure by Damon Washington.
Notice how much the enthusiasm in the stadium has changed. This Auburn crowd, they have to have 15,000 people at this game.
Some 40-something busloads coming from Auburn, Alabama. There's a lot of orange out there.
No question. Again, punt coverage has actually been worse than kickoff coverage for Ole Miss.
Tyler Campbell standing at his own 8-yard line. At times this year, you alluded to it, Bob, he has outkicked their coverage. And Auburn calls a timeout. You know, when you're number 1 in the BCS, your fans really get exuberant and excited.
Join. I mean, that's more than the whole city of Blenheim, where he played at Blinn College.
Wow. It really is refreshing to see somebody enjoying it that much while being under the scrutiny and the spotlight the way that he has.
They've played better. You know, the last 3 weeks in college football, you know, the number 1 team has taken a hit. This team's played better tonight with the number 1 rank.
4th and 9. 3rd punt of the night. There was Carr at the 35. Carr brought down immediately. That time, good punt coverage by Ole Miss. A 43-yard punt and a loss of 2 on the return. Brandon Bolden making the stop on special teams for the Tigers.
Quinn Kessenich down on the sidelines. Heard Gene Chizik tell Gus Malzahn, hey, let's slow it down a little bit now. Use more time between plays. Milk that clock a little bit.
Do they risk putting on the brakes too soon, Bob?
I don't think they'll put the brakes on, but I mean, that's a good point. The up-tempo thing's such a big part of their offense. You don't want to get out of rhythm.
1st and 10. Dyer, the freshman, nice run out near the 40-yard line. Picks up about 7 on the play. Michael Dyer, the most celebrated recruiting coup at running back since 2001 when they signed Cadillac Williams. 2nd and 3 coming up.
You can see right here, using that 40-second clock.
Auburn has won 7 of the last 8 games here in Oxford. Newton takes off. What a move. Cam Newton. A burst up the field for the first down at the 45-yard line. Johnny Brown made a touchdown-saving tackle.
Something that's very noticeable, how fresh and how quick Auburn looks. You know, coming off those 2 games now, you're talking about Arkansas, LSU. The Gene Chizik, you know, a subtle thing, took off the pads this week. No pads in practice for the first time all year. You can see it's paid off. I mean, this is an explosive, refreshed-looking football team.
Fannin in the backfield. Newton keeps it. And a nice move on the edge. And Cam Newton slides in wisely inside the 30 at the 28-yard line. Bob, you talked about Gene Chizik just going pads and going light this week. Do you risk sending the wrong message to your team? How do you handle that?
You always worry about that. Okay. You know, you hope your team's mature enough to realize, hey, it's best for us if we go in no pads so that we're fresh because it's late in the season. But sometimes you run the risk of, hey, maybe this game isn't as tough as what the game was last week. So it comes down to maturity of your team.
First and 10. Hands it off to Dyer. Dyer in the scheme. And in the end zone, touchdown Tigers.
Oh,
Michael Dyer with a burst around the right end with his 4th rushing touchdown of the season.
well, not many times do we show an offensive lineman as the impact player. But watch my big guy, Mike Berry, the offensive guard right here, pull. That's a big guy. Now, he threw a no-hitter, but that's a 320-pound no-hitter out there pulling.
That's only because the Mississippi guy kind of sidestepped him a little bit.
You're saying he avoided that contact.
Yeah, that was a wise career move.
They look fast, though, don't they? Right. Auburn looks quick to me tonight. I mean, we've had them earlier in the season.
They seemingly now blowing this game out in the 3rd quarter. They went light this week and are putting it on heavy on Mississippi.
Really feeling that pressure in number 1, aren't they? Look at those guys. Look.
It's eating them up.
It's a curse, number 1. Including that quarterback for Auburn.
All 6'6", 250 of them right now. His team with a 44-17 lead. Grandy on the return. And Grandy brought down just outside the 25-yard line in this 3rd quarter. Auburn has really turned it up to the tune of 108 yards to just 1 yard for Ole Miss.
Auburn scored on every possession but 1 in this football game.
1st and 10, Ole Miss at the 26.
1st and 10 for Ole Miss. Auburn trying to remain amongst the ranks of the undefeated. There were 6 undefeated teams when the day began. Michigan State has already lost. Masoli keeps it and has nowhere to go. His forward progress is going to be marked at about the 21-yard line. Here making the stop for Auburn. That's going to be a loss of close to 4 on the play.
2nd down and 14 for Ole Miss.
Ole Miss at 1-3 in SEC West Division play. Masoli under heat steps up. And Masoli runs out of bounds just shy of the 25, picks up 3, so it'll be 3rd and about 11. That's 3rd and long coming up.
Well, it was interesting this week. Ted Roof, Auburn's defensive coordinator, the number 1 thing they were worried about, Jeremiah Masoli scrambling and then making throws on the run. Look at Ted Roof right there. They actually made a scramble tape and showed every situation where he got out of the pocket. Keeping him in the pocket was their number 1 goal defensively.
We're going to keep this drive alive. 3rd and 11. Solely incomplete at the 30-yard line, dropped by Jesse Grandy. And it's another 3 and out for Mississippi.
These young receivers, very talented for Ole Miss. But as they told us yesterday, very inconsistent. That says it all right there. That guy, he's about ready to head back out in that grove. He's seen about all he's wanted to see.
Darius Carr standing at the 30. Campbell punting from his own 15. Wow. A high spiral hangs up for a long time, and that's the type of punt that head coach Houston Nutt has been looking for all year from him. A 47-yard kick, nothing on the return. Let's take a look at our protection spotlight, brought to you by Casper. Cam Newton being protected well by that offensive line.
Yeah, and you know, I noticed you rolled your eyes a little bit when I did the impact players for Auburn.
Not usually
the offensive line. That's
not usually really sexy. You know what I mean?
No, you didn't like that. But just look at this protection. A team that basically runs the ball, switching gears early in the game tonight. Most coaches in this league that watch all the tape will tell you this is the best offensive line in the Southeastern Conference.
Michael Dyer taking it off to the left side of that offensive line, breaks it back, cuts back nicely. Close to a first down at the 38-yard line. Brown makes the stop, but to underscore the importance of the offensive line, Bob, this week, Gene Chizik, the head coach of the Tigers, dropped in a couple of times on that offensive line meeting and spent some time with them individually and said, guys, I'm not forgetting about the great job that you guys have done throughout the course of the year in helping to put up those impressive numbers.
Well, that chemistry of the team, you take nothing for granted. Just because you're the #1 team in the country, that doesn't mean that everybody's happy. That's just human nature. So always trying to manage that environment.
Here's Dyer. Picks up a first down for the Tigers, and you would think that that wouldn't be a worry when you're 8-0, #1 in the BCS, 5-0 undefeated in your conference, but that can become an issue. Everyone wants a piece of it, though, right?
That's human nature. What's in it for me? And you think about those wide receivers who up until tonight had not had many opportunities. You think about the running backs that hadn't had many opportunities because Cam Newton carrying the ball 28 times. You know you're going to need the wide receivers. You know you're going to need the running backs. Always managing the chemistry of your team when you're the head coach.
First down and 10 from the 40. Dyer again. Still looking fast and spry. Out to the 46-yard line, picks up 6. You know, we kind of commented, documented some of the criticism that Gene Chizik underwent when he was first hired, but his response at the time, I'll never forget it. He said, hey, it didn't bother me because I knew what this place, Auburn, was all about. He's an old Auburn guy.
But it bothers you a little bit. I mean, you can say what you want. I mean, everybody wants to be welcomed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, usually have a bit of a honeymoon period when you become the head coach. I mean, people are glad you're there. He didn't feel that. That's why you give him so much credit for fighting through that.
On 2nd and 4. Hey, Newton brought down for little or no gain on the play. You know, Chizik has made a point of making all of his players understand what it's like and what it means to be a quote-unquote Auburn man. And part of the Auburn creed is to recite the fact that I believe, quote, in honesty and truthfulness, without which I cannot win the respect and confidence of my fellow men.
Well, you know how they bought in? We asked Cam Newton on a conference call, does it bother you to carry the ball 28 times? You know, you want to throw the ball. He said, hey, I just want to win. I'm an Auburn man.
Leads the pass to one of his wide receivers. That's Emory Blake to pick up a couple of yards. Ingram making the stop. But it's short of the first down. And for one of the few times in this ball game, Auburn will actually have to punt. Here's a look at his parents. Mom and Dad. Cecil and Jackie, his mother and father. And this is the first punt. You talk about guys who are unused and not busy, Bob. The punter's looking for his shoes.
And this guy's one of the biggest in the country, this freshman punter there. He's a big guy.
Campbell gets off a high punt and comes down at the 17-yard line. 2:46 to go in the third quarter. It is all Auburn. Stephen Clark, the punter for Ole Miss, and Auburn's guy getting it done there.
But what a great place to live. I could see why you'd come back to Ole Miss.
It's complete on first down and a good sidestep, but not quite good enough. Herman making the reception on the play. Right back to the line of scrimmage. But the second down, about 10 to go. Ole Miss has yet to score in the second half. To 17. It has been all Auburn here in the second half. Cam Newton has been smiling since he got off the bus.
Living the dream now. You know, excuse me,
out
Mark,
to the 21.
You know, in the back of Gene Chizik's mind, and I bet in the back of quite a few Auburn fans, he's putting that lip balm on now. When do I take Cam out? You know, if I get another stop, maybe one more series, you know, because it's still, you know, it's 44-17. When do I take Cam out of the game? That's pretty good deal when that's your only concern right here late in the game, right?
That's the type of thing you want to be worrying about, if anything. 3rd and 7 coming up. And the official's going to blow this one dead. Antoine Carter got across the line of scrimmage a little bit early.
Mark, you do have to wonder, though. You look at Cam Newton on the sidelines. How does he handle this? Seriously, I mean, everyone says he's a great kid. He went to Florida out of high school. He's been around it before. But how does he handle this success that he's having? You know, he hasn't, it's come easy now. I mean, it's come easy. How does he handle it? That's why this guy right here, his dad, plays a big role.
Yeah, he told us on a conference call that if he turns out to be half the man that his father is, then he'll have really done something. Young man with a great relationship with his father.
It's not easy, though, to keep your feet on the ground and stay grounded with the kind of almost instant notoriety he's had this year. That's a challenge.
3rd and 2. Pass complete for the first down and then some to Melvin Harris. And Harris still on his feet towards midfield at about the 46-yard line. A 20-yard gain on the play. Roadblock Saturday. Here's how it's shaking down so far. Auburn with a comfortable lead. Oregon leads USC 8-3. TCU playing at UNLV. Michigan State, Missouri, and Utah.
Here's what Masoli does right here.
Pass incomplete. And speaking of Masoli, Bob, you know, had he beaten Auburn tonight, if he does beat Auburn tonight, he'd be helping out, ironically, his former school, Oregon,
in a big way. Isn't it unbelievable that we had Jeremiah Masoli the last 2 years at Oregon, and tonight we're sitting here watching him play for Ole Miss.
Yeah, a little intricacy and nuance in the NCAA rule book said that if he could find a graduate program that his school at Oregon didn't have, then he'd be eligible to play. Thus, he is playing officially as a walk-on. That's going to be Jeff Scott, about a yard short of the first down. Officially, Masoli is actually a walk-on, too.
And how does Oregon not have Parks and Recreation as a graduate program? I mean, you would think that'd be right in their wheelhouse now.
Yep. Sounds like a pretty popular program that you would find at most institutions.
Well, particularly at Oregon, right?
With that environment out there. 3rd down and 1. That's going to put a lid on the 3rd period of play. A 3rd period where Auburn continued to dominate the scoreboard. In the game so far, 8 drives, 10 scores.
I think that's back.
10 drives, 8 scores.
There you go. Let's reverse it. It's Halloween night. I mean, crazy things happen.
Cam Newton starting to get his bounce on when we come back. That has grasped the #1 teams in the nation for the last 3 weeks. So far doing a nice job of avoiding it. 3rd and 1 for Ole Miss. Toss to the wide side of the field. A nice open field tackle almost. Jeff Scott getting enough for the first down. A 3-yard gain. Zach Etheridge in on that play a little bit for the Tigers. And boy, you think about a year ago, almost to the day, when he suffered torn neck ligaments and a cracked 5th vertebra after a tackle in this game. He was involved with Rodney Scott on the play. And that really is one of the best comeback stories in all of college football this year. Just the fact that Etheridge is on the field. Masoli. Incomplete. Now let's take a look at our FaceTime profile brought to you by Edward Jones. Zach Etheridge, who suffered that near really fatal injury with the broken vertebra, almost was paralyzed. And Rodney Scott, who was actually trapped underneath Etheridge and had the instinctive, as Masoli brought down near the line of scrimmage, doctors said, Bob, that had Scott actually tried to move and as a result moved Etheridge, then that may have changed the whole outcome of Zach Etheridge.
It's just an amazing story. It really is an incredible story.
Etheridge suffering the neck fracture, but after months and months of arduous rehab and recovery time, he's back on the football field.
And just spin it forward. Zach Etheridge plays with no hesitation. You just saw him on that open field tackle. Takes a lot of courage to play this football game.
Solely up top. There's going to be a flag thrown on the play. Melvin Harris, the intended receiver. Nico Thorpe defending on the play.
Penalty flags on the field.
It's interesting that Zach Etheridge and Rodney Scott have been keeping in contact via text message since the time of the incident. And
Pass interference. Number 15 of the 15-yard penalty.
the families have gotten to know each other. Zach Etheridge's folks have gotten in contact with Scott. And they're here at the game tonight in person to say thank you. Don Etheridge, his father.
It is amazing, isn't it, that Rodney Scott didn't try to get up. That's your first instinct when you're in a pile like that, is to get up.
And they say Rodney Scott is that type of player. He's one of those enthusiastic types. Bounces right up after plays. Two of them plan on meeting after the game. From the 28-yard line.
This is what you call confusion right here.
That's not a designated play, is that what you're trying to tell me? Okay, I wasn't sure. They hand it off all for naught. Brandon Bolden, that one imploded from the very beginning. That's a loss of a yard on the play. He's second down, about 11.
Houston Nutt back-to-back, what, 9-4 seasons, 2 Cotton Bowl wins. And that was after 4 straight losing seasons here at Ole Miss. He said you could feel this coming this year. This was the year when all of a sudden they got thinned out a little bit of talent. Another bad snap right there.
Slowly on the move. Complete at the 20-yard line. Still a couple of yards short of the first down is Brandon Bolden. Pickup of 7.
He's worked hard now, Masoli, catching these shotgun snaps. I mean, A.J. Hawkins has not made it easy on Masoli. He's had about 3 one-hand catches on these snaps.
There have been a lot of changes on that offensive line. Swindoll started at center last week. Hawkins moving in there this week. 3rd and 2. Hand it off, and this is going to be a touchdown for Bolden. Bolden with his 6th rushing touchdown of the year.
Yeah, he just creases them right here. Untouched. Brandon Bolden, who's kind of disappeared the last 2 weeks, had disappeared until right there tonight.
Extra point good, and a good sign for Bolden, who had a crucial fumble in the 4th quarter on a direct snap last week in that loss against Arkansas. At a crucial time. Nice to see him bounce back. Will Cam Newton be a quarterback when we return? Find out on the other side. Imposing 6'6" 255-pound chassis. A lot of talent. An onside kick.
Yeah, they just recovered that onside kick.
And Ole Miss has the ball back, down by just 20 points. Ingram recovers it for the Rebels. They get the ball back in pretty good field position here at the 43, so Auburn got caught napping a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's a great kick by Andrew Ritter, the kickoff guy. Watch this ball bounce up in the air. Look at the height he gets on that, the hang time he gets on that. Fawn Ingram, the safety, that was about as finely executed onside kick as you will ever see.
See what they do with it here. Solely hands it off, but nowhere to go that time. Zach Clayton there to make the stop for the Tigers. Clayton's had a pretty good night.
Clayton's had a good year. You know, he's had a lot of injuries. Those coaches at Auburn love Zach Clayton and the effort he brings every week.
Second and 14 coming up for the Rebels from their own 39.
That Ole Miss crowd didn't love that last call. Little dive to Jeff Scott. It'll be Masoli time now. Looks like Auburn's bringing pressure.
Masoli, cool in the pocket, completes the pass to the 47 to Melvin Harris. Let's go back to Wendy in the studio.
Third down and about 6.
All right, Wendy.
That guy's pretty good, too.
Yeah.